If there's someone who understands the politics of Bola Tinubu, you will say you are one of them. You work closely with him at the AD. That was a younger Bola Tinubu who was in that moment. A lot of people thought that he fought the central government. He stood his ground. He made his politics known to the rest of the world. But if you hear what the president said today, and he said that the opposition thought they were going to scare him. What do you make of that kind of statement?
Well, let me put it this way. There's something in law we call the fruition of time, passage of time. Seasons come and seasons go. We formed a bond, in constructing alliance for democracy, which was a different kind of political platform because of the civic imagination and radical ideological spirit that was infused in it. The struggle against Abacha, Abiola's death, Abacha's own death, and that combustible period when the nation was on edge. We formed the Alliance for Democracy, ultimately became governor of Lagos State. As you said, a very younger person. That's 27 odd years or so ago. The fruition of time has these consequences. In the sense that AD was an ideological platform with clear vision and philosophical depth. APC is just a special purpose vehicle. It's a contraption. It has no focus. It has no ideological bearing. It has no philosophical reach. It's just a vehicle that was put together to flush PDP out of power 2015, and they succeeded admirably well. But since they succeeded in doing that, they've refused to govern. The 8 years of Buhari presidency that our president has currently invoked has been considered by many, not just scholars, sometimes it's just a disaster in terms of corruption, in terms of nepotism, in terms of insecurity, in terms of even the insufferable sense of aloofness that defined that period. And for Nigerians to hanker after Buhari presidency is a solemn testament of the failure of the Bola presidency. But the question he will ask himself as the president is, Nigerians are going to an election early next year. They're not going to listen to a rhetoric or grandstanding or sense of mission or accomplishment. They'll ask themselves the bitter question, how were we May 29, 2023? And how are we today? The answer will be resounding. We are worse off today than we under the Buhari presidency.
Is that the reality?
It's the reality.
Presently.
Presently.
But the president has simply absolved the Buhari government of any...
He has to.
He said, look, I am Buhari. And those who say, is this more of a realistic conversation, statement or political statement?
At this crucial stage, he has to do it. He has an audience in Northern Nigeria. Says, I did not abandon.
So the sentiment is for the Northern.
Of course, I've got the
Northern vote.
The CPC, in the configuration of forces in Northern Nigeria. I did not abandon my Lord and Master. He was my boss. He was our leader for 8 years. But we know how that government functioned for 8 years. When we talk about poverty capital of the world, Bola Tinubu president has added 10 more million people to Buhari's own poverty. Insecurity was much more rooted in the Northeast. He has expanded it to Northwest, North Central, everywhere. If you look at even the opaqueness of the budget, you find that 2024 budget has not even been executed. 25 budget have been extended to 26. 26 is just taken off stream, almost mid-year. So with 3 years in a cycle, close to 200 trillion cannot be accounted for. So when the World Bank says we can't find 34 trillion of this money, and you can see the explanation for the Minister of Finance, it is vacuous and empty. It does not make sense. You will run election 2027 on your own record. It will not be promised to Nigerian people.
And what does that record do?
The record is very shabby, to say the least.
That record cannot win an election?
It cannot win an election because why? Because why?
Because there are those who say in this government, and they've come to the defense to say, everything we're doing on security, there is a systemic failure. The system was broken. We're trying to fix it. No ammunitions, no system. Things are bad. There was corruption, and they're trying to fix it. And it might take time. And there are political angle and perspective to this insurgency and such. Bola Tinubu is working to defeat the insurgent. Should we give the government the benefit of the doubt?
Okay, fine. The first benefit of the doubt, I said it on here, this studio, and several other ones. These two presidencies are conjoined. The failures of the Buhari presidency are the failures of the Bola Tinubu presidency.
So no excuse.
He said it himself here. I have to inherit the mess of the Buhari presidency. Virtually in this comment, in this remark we listen to, we have to inherit it. The broken system, these securities and so on there, the country diminished. When we talk about even Christian genocide narrative, it didn't start from Bola Tinubu. Let's face it. The so-called thesis on turning the country into some sort of faith, dialectic, started then. The poverty capital of the world started then. The collapse of the Naira started then. The fuel situation started then. Living standard depreciation started then. But the problem is that the Bola Tinubu presidency has intensified and accelerated to a higher degree the substantive levels of the Buhari presidency depreciating, performances. That's the critical problem. Take, for example, the current thing facing the world today, the Iran war, the fuel price, from 800 and something naira, the 1,300 and something. What has the government done in the past 2 months, virtually, to Nigerian people to say, we hear your cry, we see your pain. We're actually taxing the importers extra money because we're making more millions of dollars by selling at a very stupendous high level. What have you done? Many other countries, you know what they're doing? They are freezing prices of petroleum products, but they're not doing the subsidy. They are injecting back into the system the millions of dollars they expropriating from those who are importing fuel. They're not doing it there.
Yeah, Prof, let me ask you. The statement that the president made in the Villa about opposition, about 2027, does it sound like a statement of consolidation of power, or a statement that is already looking like the president is concerned about political vulnerability?
He said that they will not scare him away because already they are scaring him away. He's mindful of the numbers. If you crunch the numbers, in spite of the fragmentation in the political atmosphere, whether they're regrouping, whether they're weakening, it's a fragmentation and a certain form of rebate of a new political order. The first thing why he's running scared is his record. We must talk about electricity. The solemn, powerful statement you made 3 years ago. By 2027, you must fulfill it or don't vote for me. You can't take it away. You see that in almost all the front pages of all the newspapers. That's number one. Number two, you floated the Naira. What have you done with the money? You realize the trillions or the hundreds of millions of dollars there to the living standard of Nigeria.
Shouldn't we be asking the federating unit, the states?
I'm coming. Because if you emasculate resources, in real terms, it is not 55% or so that the federal center receives. It's close to 70% because of unreported revenues from so many humongous institutions. The central bank, the customs, the immigration, the MPA, the NIMASA, they are not reporting the money. NMPC, you put them together, it's almost 70% of public resources in their hands. So you must account for this money to the people.
Look at it, Prof. The president seems to have framed the opposition as weak, incoherent, divided, and unable to be able to stand strong to win an election. Is that assessment of the president accurate?
Wrong. Because I said number one, why is he running scared? I said performance. You will not come to Grand to Nigeria 2027. You must put a record on the economy, on corruption, on better performance, on living standard. The price of consumables, of food stuff, transportation, education, energy, everything. 0. 2, if you're not running scared, we will not have the kind of INEC we have. In several studios, I say that Professor Mopitan was procured and produced to do precisely what he's doing now. What is he doing now? Number one, before Mahmoud left, who was not even a very popular man, he had rebalanced the multi-party conversation by bringing PDP to INEC. If you remember, to sort out the differences, they've given notice to INEC, and so they're prepared for Congress and convention. When he left almost a month before his tenure was up, Labour Party had almost been tinkered with and taken care of. APC, NDC have been resolved. David Mark, suddenly they're up in the air. And as I said, not because I put anybody down. I don't know the professor very well. When you have in the north central of Kogi State an Amupitan, a Josh Amupitan, bearing the name is bearing, you go to Kwara and they have the NNPC GMD bearing the name is bearing, there's a certain level of intentionality. So PDP is suddenly no more. Possibly we don't know what the Supreme Court will do tomorrow because somebody is running scared. ADC, formulated, carefully created by those who facilitated it as a coalition with no problem, suddenly is now doing what? On the racks. SDP, the same level, the same. There's a certain level of intentionality. I'm running scared because if the parties are strong, are united and decisive, but it will be a problem for me.
Prof, let's look at it. And you are one that one would never say is living in political naivety.
At all.
You are one that one will never say that you are lacking of political knowledge, understanding, and experience.
Absolutely.
Your experience go way back. So I will respect your analysis in this sense. And I like you to be very critical and say the truth to power. And let's say it exactly the way it is.
Okay.
But let me ask you, in the president's own assessment, and he has, highlighted some of the leaders and the big wigs within the opposition. But if you look at it, and he's also talked about the crisis in internal politics and the crisis in this political party. Let's be honest with ourselves. You know Bola Tinubu. In Bola Tinubu's days, when he was a younger, he was brutal. He went into Ekiti, went into Osun, and he Edo State. And he has his foot soldiers sitting in that room in the renewed hope ambassador, the governors across all the state, and he gave them the confidence. And look, if they could not beat me when I didn't have power, is it now that they will beat me? And you know him. If you're going to beat Bola Tinubu, you must the more you look as a frail Bola Tinubu at your own peril. It's probably one of the smartest political strategies we have in the country. If you undermine him at your own peril. Analyze for us, Prof. The opposition as presently constituted, can they beat Bola Tinubu? In what world can that happen?
You need a lot of variables to be in place. If you build an equation, you have integrals you put together. Number one, the challenges facing the opposition are challenges which, of course, were manufactured from outside. It's substantially. We don't have the time to probe into that. I'll give you an example of a friend who said, I don't have any issue with Sean. I just said about TV show. A serving minister of the Federal Republic is an alter ego of a president. Not just one minister, not the FCC minister alone. Every minister speaks for the president. Presidential communication is not only in the villa, it is expressed through ministerial communication. Presidential presence is not only by the president talking the way he spoke. If the minister comes here to speak with you in public, when the program of the office of the minister, he speaks for the president. So when the minister of FCT presides over the dismantling of PDP, is the president that is doing so, not the minister. If he resigns as a minister, he loses his clout, loses his power. He has no autonomous power center. He has no independent, authentic power force to say, I am going to do what I'm doing. He derives it substantially, if not absolutely, because he's the man under authority. So for the party that ruled the country for 16 years, to suffer the fate it is suffering, in the hands of the serving minister of the Federal Republic, who has vowed publicly to re-elect his boss. In essence, the crisis of PDP is a crisis superintended, facilitated, procured in the villa of Bola Tinubu. That's number one. Number two, ADC was put together carefully. I knew when it was put together. The cause knew. And they had the coherent, decisive leadership. Suddenly everything is up in the air. That is the president running scale using INEC to do what he's doing. Look at the case of that PDP if you go back to it again and say, what did they now put in court? A man, this appeal court sacked, said, you are expelled from the party. You are expelled as the secretary of the party. You originated even the faction. As the secretary of ADI, will never dare write a letter to an external body. Chairman will write a letter, secretary will concur. If the chairman writes without the secretary concurrence, the letter is absurd. No secretary can even initiate his own. But INEC accepted the communication from Anyanwu and built his faction on that, and built his BOT on that. I'm giving you the challenges facing the position. But don't forget, politicians always tell my friends are ghosts. They move in formless form until they coagulate in a decisive moment of illumination, saying, here's the platform that people least think we're going to seize. You seize that platform in the next 2 weeks. The beauty of INEC shutting down opposition by this tight, viciously tight, narrow period in which you have to finish up everything, party registration, upload it, do your primaries and so on. If you skip it by 30th May, you have 8 months ahead of you to build that infrastructure, to rearm their ranks, to now teach and educate Nigerians how this government has failed in policy and budget implementation, in corruption, in insecurity, no matter how you dress it. Oh, we made a broken system. We made a system that was diminished and famished. Every year you allocate trillions for the military. Every year you are former leader who you say you have embraced, allocated trillions for 8 years with disastrous consequences. Produce only capital of the world, poverty capital of the world. Let me tell you, macroeconomic stability does not end with statistics and figures, abstract norms. It can't say one of the statistics are saying inflationary pressure is weakening. There's a macroeconomic stability in the system. It's a living standard of the people.
So, Prof, my question here is Tinubu beatable?
Of course.
By this opposition?
Of course.
In the form in which
you know why it is going to be?
Yeah.
If you listen carefully to me, INEC choked down the system 2022. You recall. APC did the primary 7th August, if I'm not mistaken. You can fact check it. PDP and other did a little bit early. Labour, I don't know, because we left PDP for Labour Party. So now you're compressing it to 30th May, including governorship primaries, senatorial primaries, rest primaries. So many parties will not be prepared to do it. Once they manage to get through that threshold, and they will get through that threshold, they are resourceful.
It's a 50-50 chance.
I said
there's a 50-50 chance. ADC might not be on the as it's presently constituted. It's a 50-50 chance.
Let me tell you
they either win the case or lose the case.
Let me tell you what I mean by being ghosts. They're human beings with life and blood and flesh and bone. Ghosts means they are ethereal beings. You can't capture them and keep them in a place. They move like bird. You know, they move like gypsies. Politicians will find a home. May not be a DC.
I'm saying the consequence here, Prof, just the apologies, is the fact that in 2023, prior to that, when the primaries didn't go in Peter Obi's favor, he left the PDP and moved to the Labour Party. In this climb, you can't do it again.
Do you know? You told me the timetable.
Now, listen, that means you are boxed. You cannot leave
any longer. At the timetable.
Yeah.
The timetable gives you a window. Some say up to 5th May, some say up to 10th May. I had a conversation with a floater, a founder of a party still in the making. I will not talk more about it. You don't know who is listening. Millions are listening to us. He said, no, it is not 5th May, it is 10th May. It's a closure. When you think in terms of submitting the final INEC registration to INEC, the membership registration to INEC. Today is what? 19th April. 24 hours is a lifetime in politics. Between now and 5th May or thereabout, shall we put it on record today? The politicians of this country who oppose to the current government of Bola Tinubu will find a home, a secure home. When that home is found, it may be a secure home. It may be a secure home for now. It may be a home not too well known. Give it 2 months gestation period. That home will grow in leaps and bounds. And APC that has overgorged. I talked about obesity and flatulence. You know, 32 governors, senators, and reps. They already disgorged in many states across the country. Confusion within their ranks. This opposition will not only have the time to rebuild the infrastructure and deepen their reach, they have 6 months to campaign. Typically in Nigeria, campaigns are 6 weeks. INEC knew what they're doing with this Samupitans INEC, choke them down so they'll not even get out of that block firing, okay? They will get out of it. And when they get out of it, from May 30th, ask yourself, what happens from May 30th to December 30th? June, July, August, September, October, November, December, this government is beatable. The time is there. I put time in the hands.
And quickly, Prof, there were the times where the PDP had a very, very strong repository of resources. Delta State, Rivers State, Akwa Ibom State, or your state. These are states where you could fund an election massively.
Great operation.
The opposition doesn't have
Who won Delta State last time around?
Delta State?
Who won it?
In the presidential election?
Peter Obi? Infrastructure? He defeated a sitting governor, a vice president candidate of a ruling party. No, not the ruling party, of the PDP, the opposition party. He beat him. He beat him in Edo. He beat the current president in Lagos State. He won, but that's how he won him sitting.
So without all the resources,
he don't need that. Let me tell you, this government has invested heavily on top-heavy gladiators. I said it here. There is flatulence. So if you take it that you have virtually the governors and the ministers and the senators, why are you running scared? Why are you using INEC? Why are you using the courts? Running scared. The government is running scared. You know why they're running scared? As I said, 2027 is not going to be rhetoricization of your intent. That I, the president, is going to do this and that. You have to confront the nation with what he accomplished in the past 4 years. It's on your record.
And you think the APC does not have anything to show?
They have nothing to show except poverty, hunger.
Really?
Poverty, hunger, insecurity in the country.
Did you watch Dr. Zach Adedeji?
Do you
at
know?
The opening, the guy intelligently broke down the economic achievements and the policy direction of the Bola Tinubu.
You have your neighbors?
And I wish,
you have your neighbors?
And I wish, just a moment, sir. I mean, even if you disagree with the Bola Tinubu government, I wish this government can actually have the likes of Zach Adedeji to eloquently and even if you don't agree with the figures, if you can eloquently analyze the economic policies of this government in the way the guy did, there will be more understanding.
Did you hear me try here very clearly, Sheung? I said here, abstract numbers on macroeconomic stability, lower the inflationary pressure, digitizing this will not work with the people. It's hunger. We work for them. Are they seeing more money today? Are they buying things at cheaper prices? Drugs, that's medicine for life saving. Their kids going to school. Are they being kicked out of their homes because they can't pay rent? Since the Iran war started, they now moved fuel from 800 to 1,300. Are they seeing better money and come to manage it? Diesel was 1,020 to now 2,000 a liter. Are they seeing money to buy diesel? Are their homes not in darkness? DDG's figures and numbers are irrelevant and meaningless to the welfare of the people. What matters is the living condition. That is why government sometimes is distant from the people, isolated and alienated. They give you grand numbers. It runs very well. You will be there, one back will be there clapping for you. The reality is that people are bitter, hungry.
All right, Prof, this is where we anchor tonight. And let me know your views. If you were to if you're on the analysis table and in the situation room, in the war room, and you want to beat Bola Tinubu, whom you know very well.
Yes.
What pairing would you pick in the opposition as presently constituted?
What pairing?
What pairing? The ticket. Who are the faces you will put on the ticket if you want to beat Bola Tinubu, frankly speaking?
First and foremost, I have been on record that because of the necessity of zoning as a way to restrain the appetite of the elite, because if you don't restrain the appetite of the elite, you may have a Benue situation where the thieves will perpetually produce the governor and the dumbass and so on will produce the deputy. A time will come when the team will say, we have had this in too long, let us give it to the other person. In 2023, the man in detention, that's Rufai, helped this president over the finishing line. He took war with his political mentor and his father, the president. He even went to court against him. He even did a counter broadcast in Kaduna when the president made a broadcast on the Naira with design and so on. He made a counter broadcast. He said there are no leaders in the north even. Not like don't respect leaders. Say we the governors have decided the power must go to the south. And they pit on the president. They helped him over the finishing line. 2027, people believe that the power should remain in the south to continue to 2031.
What pairing?
The pairing in the south you have to do what you have on the ground, visible, manifest, is P2B.
And who?
Essentially, in the south, for example, the choice of who they have in the north is for them to make up their mind. You have, for example, Kwankwaso is around the corner, is already part of the position.
So Peter Obi
Wait, I'm not finished. Yeah. Of late, the governor of Bauchi State, General PDP Governors Forum has been all over the place there, to be or not to be, given the consequences of the problems in the party. His suffering, his pain, his courage for 3 years standing firm to say, what do we do? Suddenly I heard the news. Bauchi PDP has said no to any conversation with the APC. It is done. The deal is dead on arrival. That means he become part again of parcel of the leadership of the opposition. Who says it can be him? There are forces there. I'm not saying it is him. I'm saying
in a political analysis,
any pairing. I won't go as far as Buba Galadima. As an older person, he could use certain choice words. Certain words, I will not use that. Any pairing today of a P2B in the south and anybody else in the north will put Bola Tinubu in 2027.
We'll leave it there. Professor Udenta,